you action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here with another TNINews video. Now this is actually my first news video I've done in quite some time. I didn't actually get any news update videos out during Comic-Con. I did do some live streaming videos. I was kind of experimenting with that, so hopefully you check some of those out. But unfortunately things were just so hectic and I started to get sick midway through the convention that I wasn't able to do any actual news updates. I'm still getting over a cold. It kind of knocked me out. As soon as I got home Sunday morning, I just kind of crashed, didn't do anything Sunday, and still, like I said, I got a little bit of a froggy throat. Mostly over it, feeling much better now, but definitely it kind of knocked me on my butt. But there were definitely cool things at Comic-Con, and I'm not going to go over every single thing that was revealed at the convention. There's just too many things to go over in one video, but I am going to go over things that kind of stood out to me, the highlights to me from the convention. And then I also have a few things I want to talk about that have happened, some news bits I want to go over that have happened since the convention. Now, also, before I get into the news, normal reminder, got the 2 contests going on both Toy News International and MarvelousNews.com, where we're giving away $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. Do check those out. They're easy to enter, and I'll have links in the video description with all the details on those. Okay, so getting into the news and getting into Comic-Con. So probably the 2 companies that stole the show for me were Hasbro with their Marvel Legends, and then NECA Toys with their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle lines. So I'm actually going to save those for last, but just go over some of the other gems that I saw during the show. So with Mattel actually surprised me. They had a few gems with their DC Multiverse line. Biggest one being their Alfred figure, and this figure is part of the Killer Croc wave. So this wave is up for pre-order. We saw the listings for this wave like a month or so ago. But this was the first time we actually got to see the figures. So all the figures look pretty good. The Killer Croc isn't too bad looking. Does seem to use parts from the shark figure, but overall still looks pretty good. 4 Horsemen worked on that one, and then the others look good. But the one that really stole the show for me in regards to DC Multiverse was their Alfred figure, which it's kind of surprised, but I think they really did an outstanding job on that figure. So you get the basic comic book Alfred, and that one looks really good, and he's got the tray with Batman's mask on it and such, so that's cool. But then you get 3 alternate heads, and so you get an alternate head for the Alfred from the 60s TV series, and again, that one looks pretty good. Then you get Alfred from the Michael Keaton Batman movies, again, another pretty good looking figure. And then another comic book based figure, the Outsider, which is basically an evil version of Alfred. So essentially 4 figures in one with this, and all the head sculpts look really good. And if you're a fan of Alfred, I think this is one you're going to want to pick up. And it's not often we get characters like Alfred done in these action figure lines. So again, hats off to Mattel for doing a really good job on that one. And while we're on the subject of Mattel, they had some other reveals for their other lines. So with wrestling, well, they had quite a few wrestling reveals, but the one I wanted to talk about today is they announced that they're doing a mashup line. So they're doing a Ghostbusters mashup line, and I talked about those figures previously, so those are 100% confirmed with the translucent Undertaker and everything. But then we're also getting a mashup He-Man line with WWE. And this is kind of interesting. The coolest thing to me really is the ring, and then the Mani-Faces figure I think is really cool, and it does have the multiple faces that you can actually turn just like with the regular Mani-Faces figure. These are, wrestling style figures and stuff, but they're made to look like, Masters of the Universe characters. And then while we're on the subject of He-Man, they also announced that they are bringing He-Man back to retail, regular retail, so for the first time in God knows how long, and these are going to be 5.5-inch figures. I've talked about this line previously, but we got our first look at it with the new He-Man, Skeletor, Teela, Man-at-Arms, Beastman. All look, very much like their original counterparts, but they are newly sculpted. The 4 Horsemen have been working on this line. They have added articulation. They have packaging that's very similar to the older line. They're going to come with mini comic books. And again, though, the cool thing about these is these are returning to regular retail. Now, the one downside here is it looks like for those of you who've been collecting the Masters of the Universe Classics, which are taller figures, that line, at least for now, is going on hiatus. Nobody was officially saying much on the line, but from what I gather, Super 7 still has the license, and they might return to doing classics at some point. But I think right now, as Mattel's getting this new line off its feet and everything, that's what we're going to be solely seeing. That's definitely what Mattel is going to be focusing on. And I don't think we'll be seeing much in the way of classics anytime soon. Now, after the movie comes out in 2021, maybe that'll change and Super 7 will be able to start doing more. Could be sooner. I mean, again, it's not like they said we're definitely not doing any more classics or anything like that, but they were basically very hesitant to say anything about classics. They didn't have anything new to show at the show for classics, and I think if you do the math, you can see that Mattel is pushing this new line, and they're not going to want a fairly similar line competing with that. For Jurassic Park fans, they had those 6-inch figures, so I talked about these the other week, and just to clarify on those, so originally I was thinking maybe they were going to do them as 2-packs. They are single releases. They're being released as GameStop exclusives. I think by now they are up for pre-order. They are being released individually, so you can get either the 2 figures, or you can get the 2 Raptors, or you can get all 4, but they're not being sold as 2-packs. And again, those figures are being released as GameStop exclusives. Storm Collectibles had a new DC Injustice 7-inch figure, or 6-inch figure, I should say, 1/12 scale figure, and of Doomsday, which looked really good. Now, my only thing about this is, I think we're on year 2 now where Storm Collectibles has been showing these figures off at conventions and stuff, and yet not a single one of these figures has gone up for solicitation. There's no release dates on these figures, and when I asked, I really wasn't able to get any definitive information. So I'm kind of like, at this point, these look great and all, but quit showing new figures until you get like the first ones put out, or at least up for solicitation, so that people can pre-order them. I feel kind of like they're jerking our teens a little bit here. I don't know. But as it is, the Doomsday again looks really good, but until we start seeing these figures actually go up for sale, it's hard to get excited for those. McFarlane Toys showed off their new Mortal Kombat figures, 7-inch scale Mortal Kombat figures with Sub-Zero and Scorpion, and I've got to say those both look really good. The sculpting detail, the articulation looks pretty good on those. The accessories look good. So very impressed with those. If you caught my interview with Todd McFarlane that I posted the other day with both Todd McFarlane and Jim Fletcher from DC Collectibles, there were no, unfortunately, DC comic toys from McFarlane revealed this past weekend, which I'd already warned you guys about, that wasn't going to be happening. Earliest we'll probably see these figures is at New York Comic Con in October. Now, I did, off camera, talking to Todd, he confirmed for me that he still is looking to get the new DC line launched as early as January. So, as soon as he takes over the license in 2020, he plans on getting stuff out there right away. So, there shouldn't be much delay. It's just a matter of how much time between that point that they actually get released that we'll get a heads up of getting to see what they look like. And again, hopefully that will come at New York Comic Con in October. I'm excited for the line. I think they're going to do a really good job with it, and like I said, I look forward to seeing what they come up with. Now, one kind of downside here is it looks like DC Essentials at least is taking a temporary hiatus, and nothing new was announced other than the 4 figures that were solicited like a month or so ago with the Batman and the gray and blue, and then the Catwoman and the Green Lantern and Sinestro figures. When I talked to Jim, and again, if you watched my interview, you saw his response. He did not say the line was canceled, but right now those are the only things they're announcing. My guess is that at least they're going to be putting that line on hold because they don't want it competing directly with what McFarlane is going to be putting out. That's just my guess, but we'll have to wait and see. So hopefully we will eventually see more DC Essential figures. I do like that line. Even if McFarlane is putting out good stuff, I wouldn't mind seeing the Essentials continue as well. But we'll just have to wait and see how all that pans out. They also announced, they're going forward with their Batman animated series, kind of off-book stuff, not, it's based on the artwork and everything, but it's featuring characters like Deathstroke and stuff that never actually appeared in the cartoon, the original Batman animated series cartoon. So that's where they're going with the Batman animated series line. They may go back and do actual characters that were in the shows, but right now they're focusing more on doing the characters that maybe have more notoriety but weren't actually in the show. Diamond Select Toys had some cool reveals. So they showed off for Marvel Select. They showed their Hulk figure from Endgame. That figure looks really good. I'm pretty excited for that. I think that's going to look pretty good with my other Marvel Legend Avenger figures. I know some of you think maybe it's too tall, but I think it'll go good. And so that's what I plan on getting it for. They're also doing a PS4 Spider-Man figure. That was kind of a surprise. And then they also revealed an Iron Man figure Mark 85. Now that one, I would have liked to have seen more accessories with it, but still overall looked pretty good. And of course Hasbro's doing their own Mark 85. Again, would have liked to have seen more accessories, but at least with the Diamond Select version, you get the Iron Man Infinity Gauntlet, or with the Marvel Legend version, and I'll go into more of this in a minute, but you get the one that actually goes with the Hulk. So if you get the Marvel Select version, I'm wondering if that'll actually work with the Marvel Legend one. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, all cool figures. Diamond Select also had, for me, it was kind of cool. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the movie Black Hole from Disney. It is an old movie. It predates the original Tron movie. It's a sci-fi movie. So people that I talked to at the convention are like, I've never seen Black Hole, so I guess I'm dating myself. But I thought it was a cool movie, and they announced that they're doing some figures for that movie, and I thought that was pretty cool. Also doing things like Westworld and such, so which we had seen at Toy Fair, so nothing really new there. But definitely the Marvel Select stuff looked good, and if you're like me and you like the Black Hole movie, you'll probably be excited about that stuff as well. Okay, and then jumping into NECA and their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff. So, like I said, this was one of the highlights for me. Specifically, I'm most excited about the animated series stuff that's going to be coming to Target. We're getting a second wave of 2-packs. It's going to include Rocksteady and Bebop. And we're also going to be getting 2 more foot soldiers with additional weapons and head sculpts and stuff. And then the 4 turtles, they're re-releasing again in what they call style guide colors, so they're brighter colors. So I'm not as excited about the 4 turtles again, but definitely the Rocksteady and Bebop, and even the 2 new foot soldiers to army build those. We're also getting an ultimate foot soldier, which is a deluxe type figure, which will have, again, like a ton of stuff included with it. So that'll be pretty cool. And then other figures announced. We're getting April O'Neil, finally getting a new April figure based on the cartoon, which looked really good. We're getting Casey Jones. We're getting Slash, Leatherhead, Metalhead, and then other things they announced. So right before the show, they announced they're doing a line for the specialty market based on video game figures. So a lot of these we're going to see in both of these assortments. We're going to see in the animated series. We're going to see in the video game with new decos. So characters like Leatherhead and Slash and such, you can expect to see both in the animated series line and the video game line. And then those also, and like they're doing the Turtles again, even though they did those as San Diego Comic-Con exclusives. They're going to be doing those again. They've got a little bit different deco, I think, and they've also got different accessories and stuff, hoverboards and things like that. So that's going to be cool. We're going to be getting Rodney the Robot, a little droid thing, and that's going to likely be released either as a 2-pack or a 3-pack. So that should be pretty cool. And then while there was no specific new movie figures announced at this convention, those will be coming soon. We should see those announced at New York Comic Con. They did tease that they're going to be celebrating the 30th anniversary of the new movie, or the first movie, I should say, and then also Secret of the Ooze are going to be doing figures for that as well. I also suspect that the Shredder and the Splinter figures that they released at San Diego Comic Con as exclusives there will be re-released in individual packs at GameStop with less, not all the accessories and everything, not the fancy packaging, but I do suspect those figures will see a release at GameStop at some point. Okay, and then Marvel, again, Hasbro, I think, really stole the show with Marvel Legends. I mean, they had their Unicron there for Transformers, and that thing looked really cool. They also had a couple other Transformers like Astro Train that I thought was cool, but still, I thought Marvel and the Hasbro team, Marvel's Hasbro team really kind of stole the show. Star Wars was a big disappointment. I don't really blame Hasbro for that. That's more on Disney. They have this thing, and they've been doing this for the last several years. Every time a movie comes out, they don't want to show anything off until Force Friday, which isn't until like September. I think that's crazy. I don't think it builds hype. I don't think it drives people to the store. For the very first movie, Force Awakens, I thought, maybe it did that because it was just the return of Star Wars. But ever since then, I think the whole Force Friday thing has just been counterproductive. Half the stores around here, at least, don't even really participate in it. I just think Star Wars needs more hype than what it's getting. So I wish Disney would, it's funny because they do such a great job with the Marvel stuff, and it's the same company, but yeah, how they handle the marketing for Star Wars, it's like night and day, and it's like, oh, I wish the people who handle the marketing for Star Wars would start talking to the people who handle the marketing for Marvel and get their acts together. But anyway, there really wasn't much to show for Star Wars at San Diego. They showed a new Boba Fett helmet for the Black Series, and they showed some concept art for Dagobah Luke, but that really was pretty much it for anything new in regards to Star Wars. And they had a few new Power Ranger stuff. They had a new wave of Power Ranger figures. I'm not super into Power Rangers personally, so those didn't stick out quite as much. Same thing, they showed some of the Overwatch figures that we had talked about previously, I think, pretty much. So there really wasn't much new there either for Overwatch. But definitely Marvel, I thought, stole the show. Now, real quick, touching back on Transformers, that thing looked incredible. I did a walkthrough video during Comic-Con. We've posted tons of pictures. The thing, last time I checked earlier today, it still hadn't surpassed $2,000 or not $2,000, but 2,000 backers. It needs 8,000 by August 31st. I still think it'll get backed. I really don't see much chance of them not going forward with this thing. But at the same time, these last 2 weeks are probably the biggest, most marketing that this thing is going to get. When it was first announced, everybody covered it. And then during Comic-Con, everybody covered it. And so I am a little worried that at this point it's still under 2,000 backers. I don't know. I am probably going to get one. I haven't yet, but I definitely, this close, I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up getting one. So anyway, getting on to the Marvel stuff, like I said, I thought it stole the show. Now, I'm not going to go over every single thing. I feel like we've covered Marvel pretty thoroughly. I did walkthrough videos. I did, covered the panel. I feel like I don't need to go over every single thing that was talked about for Marvel. But the highlights that stuck out to me, the Doctor Doom figure definitely was a very cool looking figure. Love the detail on it. It's probably the best Doctor Doom figure that's been done for the Marvel Legend line. The Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Wolverine 3-pack actually impressed me much more than I thought it would. The Jean Grey, I like the head sculpt with the ponytail much better than the regular head sculpt. But overall looked pretty good. The Cyclops with the jacket looks really good, and the 3 additional head sculpts, none of which have the mask, I'm really happy about. Even the Wolverine figure, even though I was surprised they went with the Tiger Stripe Wolverine, I thought was pretty good. You get the bone claws and everything, so was impressed with that. We've got the X Factor 2-pack, which looked good. Strong Guy, while they didn't have Strong Guy there at the show, we just saw the slide. It's still being sculpted, I was told, and everything, so it's still in the developmental phases. Based on what we saw, it looked really good, so I'm excited for that. That's going to be an upcoming Deadpool wave. Now, I've got the complete breakdown of everything we know about Marvel Legends up until this point up on Marvelous News. If you haven't checked out my article, I do highly recommend you do so. It does require some reading, but again, it'll give you all the details of everything that we know of up until this point. Now, we're going to get a few more reveals in just a few weeks. Hasbro is going to be at the unboxing convention in Mexico, which again takes place, I think, the first weekend in August. So do expect some reveals there. And then at the end of August, they might have something to announce at D23, but they're not going to have a real presence there. But they will have that same weekend that D23 is taking place is also the Canadian Fan Expo, and they will be there, and they should be showing off new stuff there as well. So, like I said, we've got plenty more times where they're going to show off new stuff between now and New York Comic Con, which is in October, and, who knows what else they're going to show. Probably that Punisher War Machine figure, and there's an Iron Man variant figure that we still don't really know what it is, and God knows what else. But definitely cool things there. Was really impressed, and I thought, like I said, I think they stole the show this year. Oh, and real quick, Hot Toys. Hot Toys had some cool things. They had the War Machine or Iron Patriot Mark II at the show for their 12-inch line, which looked good. But I actually really like the Hasbro one that they showed off with the Brothor. Yeah, I didn't even mention Brothor or Thor Lebowski. That was one of the highlights for me. I love that figure. It's a Build-A-Figure. It's part of the new Avengers wave. The other figure, the star in that wave, I think it's going to be the Iron Patriot Mark II. That one looked really good. So impressed with that one. Other good figures like the Iron Man and stuff, but those were my two favorite from that wave. And then, like I said, Hot Toys had their own Iron Patriot Mark II. Looked good. Coolest thing was they're doing the quantum suit figures, and they even have like the time machine. However, I got to think that they're not actually going to get that released. I hate to say that, but Hot Toys has this habit of showing off these really cool, elaborate, big things, vehicles. They had a Jedi Starfighter, which I kind of doubt's ever going to get released. It's like years past, they showed off like the Millennium Falcon cockpit and stuff, things like that, which have never come to fruition. So I have to wonder if they're actually going to be able to get that time machine out with the quantum suit figure. I'm sure they'll get the figures out, but I have to wonder if they're going to be able to get that actual machine out or not. But it was cool nevertheless to see that. And they had some cool Spider-Man figures, a new comic book base. Well, technically it's for the video game, but it's how he appeared in the comics as well. And it's the Iron Spider-Man, so that looked really good. So those were things that kind of stood out to me as well. Okay, so let's get off Comic-Con a little bit here. I might come back to some other things in a later video, but I wanted to talk about some things for the Mafex line. So Mafex was holding their own event this past weekend overseas while Comic-Con was going on, and they debuted some new figures. So for you Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse fans, they are doing some pretty cool figures. They're doing Miles Morales Spider-Man, and that one is up for pre-order now. And that one's got a lot of accessories. You get some soft goods for the outfit, the hoodie and the shorts, and even it's got an alternate pair of feet with sneakers. And then you get like his masthead. You get two masthead, two unmasked heads. You get multiple hands. You get webbing effects and everything. So really cool. Looks like how he does in the movie and everything. So definitely, if you've been wanting a really good figure of Miles Morales from that movie, it looks like you're now finally going to get a chance. They're also doing Peter B. Parker, and that one's not yet up for solicitation, so I don't know when that one's going to be released, but it was shown off at the event they held this past weekend. So they are doing the Peter Parker Spider-Man as well. And then they're doing a weird-looking Iron Man figure. I don't know if you ever remember the movie Metropolis, but not Superman's Metropolis, but there's this old movie called Metropolis, and it's got like this droid in it that kind of looks like C-3PO, but very shiny gold, silver, and stuff. So they're doing an Iron Man figure of that. So I don't know, it's a strange variant to be doing, but it looks kind of cool. And then they've got also for you DC fans, they're going to be doing the Frank Miller, The Dark Knight Returns Batman. I kind of feel like that version of Batman's been done quite a bit. Mezco did a pretty solid job on that one. So, but it doesn't look bad or anything. That's probably cool. And they also, again, not up for pre-order. The Batman's up for pre-order. And they're also doing, for you horror fans, they're doing a Chucky figure. They had a prototype of that on display at the event. That's not for pre-order yet. Now, the images from the show this last weekend, those come from a website called Hobby Janeki. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but I will put a link to them in the video description. And then the Spider-Man, the Miles Morales Spider-Man, and the Batman figure. Also, I forgot to mention a new Spider-Man Unlimited figure, which is comic book Spider-Man. Essentially, the repainted comic book Spider-Man with cell shading on it. So some of you seem to think that looks cooler. It's same kind of accessories. You get the unmasked head and everything. But if you like that kind of variation on your figures, you might want to check that one out. And that one is up for pre-order as well. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed overall all the San Diego Comic-Con coverage, not just here on YouTube, but on the websites as well. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on everything I talked about today. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, like the channel, subscribe to the channel, follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. Links to all those are in the video description as well. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.